Good evening, this is Left, Right and Centre. I'm Nidhi Razdan. Tonight, Rahul Gandhi's speech to university students at the University of California in Berkeley creates a storm as he goes on the offensive about the economy, terrorism, intolerance and defends dynasties. The BJP hits back at him, calling him a failed dynast. So has the speech been a political success or failure? We'll be looking at various aspects of it over the next hour or so. Well, dynasties are a fact of life in India, whether it's in politics or business, said Rahul Gandhi while interacting with students at the University of California in Berkeley this morning. The Congress Vice President spoke on a range of issues and took on many questions. He accused the Prime Minister of ruining the economy, creating space for terrorism in Jammu and Kashmir and for the politics of hate. Here are some of the highlights.
Hatred, anger and violence, and the politics of polarization, which has raised its ugly head in India today. Violence and hatred distract people from the task at hand. Liberal journalists being shot, people being lynched because they are Dalits, Muslims killed on suspicion of eating beef. This is new in India and damages India very badly. The politics of hate divides and polarizes India, making millions of people feel that they have no future in their own country. In today's connected world, this is extremely dangerous. It isolates people and makes them vulnerable to radical ideas. Decisions like demonetization, which removed 86% of cash from circulation overnight and was carried out unilaterally without asking the chief economic advisor, the cabinet, or even parliament, imposes a devastating cost on India. Currently, we are not producing enough jobs. 30,000 new youngsters are joining the job market every single day. 30,000. And yet, the government is only creating 500 jobs a day. And this does not include the massive pool of already unemployed youngsters. The decline in economic growth today is worrying and is leading to an upsurge of anger in the country. The government's economic policies, demonetization, and a hastily applied GST have caused tremendous damage. Millions of small businesses were simply wiped out as a result of demonetization. Actually, most parties in India have that problem. So don't give us stick because Mr. Akhilesh Yadav is a dynast, Mr. Stalin is a dynast, Mr. Dhummal's son is a dynast. So, even Abhishek Bachchan is a dynast. I mean, that's how India runs. So I mean, don't get after me because that's how the entire country is running. By the way, last I recall, Mr. Ambani's kids were running their business. And that was also going on in Infosys, right? So that's what happens in India. But saying that, I do try to sort of change it in the Congress party. If you look at the Congress party, there's a large number of people who are actually not from dynastic families at all. And I can name them in every state. Any party in India that is in power for 10 years will run into a problem. It's just natural. India is a complex country. Normally you don't win more than a term in a row. And we won 2 terms. The vision that we had laid out in 2004 was designed at best for a 10-year period. We designed a vision by having a conversation. And somewhere around 2012, and I'll say this, a certain arrogance crept into the Congress party. And they stopped having that conversation. I'm an opposition leader, but Mr. Modi is also my Prime Minister. Mr. Modi has certain skills. He's a very good communicator. Probably much better than me. He understands how to give a message to 3 or 4 different groups in a crowd. So his messaging ability is very subtle and very effective. There's a BJP machine, about 1,000 guys sitting on computers that basically tell you about me. Okay, they tell you I'm reluctant, they tell you I'm stupid, they tell you all these things. You've seen me now, you guys got to make up your mind. Right, you got to figure that out. But realize that there is a tremendous machine, 1,000 people or so, that all they do is spread abuse about me. And the operation is basically run by the gentleman who's running our country.
Well, those were some extracts from Rahul Gandhi's speech at the University of California at Berkeley, and the BJP hit back very strongly. Often they have described Rahul Gandhi as an irrelevant leader. Smriti Irani, the INB minister, in fact held a press conference today on this so-called irrelevant leader, going on to call him a failed dynast, among other things. Let's listen to her counter-attack.
A failed dynast today chose to speak about his failed political journeys in the United States of America. As a Karyakarta of the Bharatiya Janata Party, it was fascinating for me to watch that this gentleman, who is the Vice President of the Congress Party, has publicly proclaimed that under the leadership of Srimati Sonia Gandhi, the Congress became arrogant. This confession made by the Vice President of the Congress Party is something for the Congress to delve into. The fact that Mr. Gandhi chose to belittle the Honorable Prime Minister is not surprising, in fact expected. कांग्रेस के नेतृत्व में जीएसटी की विफलता अपने आप में इस बात का संकेत थी कि कांग्रेस ने किसी भी राजनीतिक दल को कॉन्फिडेंस में ना लिया, ना किसी प्रदेश की सरकार में उस कॉन्फिडेंस को जागृत किया कि जीएसटी पास हो सके। माननीय वित्त मंत्री जी ने हर पड़ाव से, हर मंच से ये कहा है कि जो भी निर्णय होते हैं आज भी काउंसिल में, वो हर प्रदेश की सरकार के साथ समन्वय में यूनानिमसली होते हैं। तो अगर समन्वय का सबसे बड़ा प्रतीक आज एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन में देना है, तो उसका सबसे बड़ा उदाहरण जीएसटी है। अगर कांग्रेस पार्टी अथवा राहुल जी स्वयं सुनने के आदी होते, तो शायद जीएसटी कांग्रेस रिजीम में ही पास हो जाता। It is just indicative that he lacks an imagination himself, that he'd like to follow the footsteps of the Honorable Prime Minister. Whether I take it as a compliment or not is not for my personal reflections to be explored here. I will only say that his entire context in the way that you are projecting right now, that everything the Prime Minister did, he is emulating, just shows that even he now believes that if there is a discourse or a dialogue where people are to be engaged with, then the best person in terms of engagement with people at large is Narendra Modi, and that he has said also in his communication. So this is the first step where there is a self-declaration, yes, we are arrogant, and the first step where there is a declaration that yes, Modi is better.
Well, the man who's key to Rahul Gandhi's visit to the US, which is in fact a 2-week-long trip, is Mr. Sam Pitroda, and he joins us on the phone line now from the United States. Mr. Pitroda, thank you for joining us on what would be, I presume, a very early morning for you. I just wanted to ask you what you're making of this entire controversy that has erupted over Rahul's political remarks at Berkeley, and your response to that and your thoughts on that, particularly the BJP's criticism that given that he was traveling abroad, that he was on foreign soil, that he shouldn't have, as they put it, belittled the Prime Minister.
I don't think there is any controversy. I mean, I see things very differently than you see it. I mean, he said whatever he had to say. That is a privilege. I mean, it's okay to say something, which you don't agree with it. That's freedom of speech. What's the issue? I just don't get it. Why is everybody so excited and so confused? It is okay for you and me to disagree. We must agree to disagree. Where is the problem?
We must agree to disagree. You say, where is the problem? The BJP's criticism is that he's traveling abroad. He represents the country when he travels abroad, and that he shouldn't be criticizing the country and the Prime Minister when he's doing that. What do you think?
But that is, you see, what should I do and I should not do is not BJP's privilege. Okay? It is my privilege. Let's respect that. All right?
Well, Mr. Pitroda, tell us more about why this visit has happened at this time. There is some criticism that at a time when the economy in India is in trouble, today also some numbers have come out indicating the crisis in the economy. At a time when all of this is happening, Gujarat elections are nearing, Rahul Gandhi is away for a 2-week trip in the United States, and that doesn't necessarily send out the right message.
Look, a lot of these things get planned 6 months in advance. Nobody is waiting for you tomorrow afternoon to meet. This was in the works long time ago. Whenever you plan a trip, there is always something going on in a country of 1.3 billion. There is always a crisis of any kind, whether it is flood, drought, political crisis, election. So it's okay. I mean, that decision again has to be ours, whether this is the right time or wrong time, and not somebody else's. Fine, you can again say it's the wrong time from your perspective. We respect that. But from our perspective, this has to be done because it was planned quite some time ago. You know, there is never a good time in India to take a trip out for so long. And why 2 weeks, why 3 days? I mean, these are our decisions. You are entitled to criticize. We welcome that. Okay?
Well, 2 weeks is a pretty long time for a political leader at times like this, and with an election that I think was known 5 years ago, when exactly it would happen. Mr. Pitroda, thanks for talking to us today on Rahul Gandhi's visit. Sam Pitroda there saying, what's the big deal if Rahul Gandhi has made political statements there? Why can't we agree to disagree? And it is not for the BJP to dictate what he will and will not say. We've got Rajiv Desai, public policy analyst, joining us here in the studio. He's advised the Congress party in the past as well. Rakesh Sinha of the RSS, Amy Kasman of the Financial Times, Manish Tiwari of the Congress party, and Tavleen Singh also joining us this evening. Let me ask you first, Tavleen Singh, what did you think of Rahul Gandhi's speech? You've often been critical of him in the past. What did you think of it today?
Of what aspect of the speech?
Just the political messaging. Do you think that he was on the ball politically, or that it was, as the BJP felt, inappropriate? Did he, you think, highlight the right sort of issues that India is facing today? What did you think?
Well, you know, as somebody who is very critical of dynasty in politics, I was very worried by what he said, because he seems not to have understood the difference between public service and dynasty. You see, dynasty in politics is a totally different thing to dynasty in business or in journalism even. Because somebody who comes into politics should come in with the idea of public service. And the way that he was so flippant about, oh, every political party is like this, I found that very worrying. But I also want to say that I think that the BJP's reaction is hugely overreaction. Why are they so worried? I mean, he has a right to say what he wants to, wherever he wants to, because whatever you say is immediately live all over the world anyway. So, you know, I mean, those are my views on his speech.
So let me take the bit about the dynasty aspect of that, since that's made the most headlines. And Rajiv Desai, let me take that to you first. He gave the example of other political parties. He talked about businesses, as Tavleen said, Abhishek Bachchan as well. He's saying that is how India is running. Many people thought that possibly wasn't the best response. And then he said, I'm trying to sort of change that in the Congress party. But we are all asking how exactly.
You know, I think this whole dynasty issue is a red herring. I think Mr. Gandhi raised some very, very critical points in his speech, including about the economy, including about the foreign policy, including about what's happening in Kashmir, including about the intolerance, including about the violence. And I think those are the issues that are important. dynasty is something that seems to be a bugbear for those who are opposed to Mr. Gandhi or to the Congress party. It doesn't really bother me because I think the issues that he raised are worth discussing. Demonetization, GST.
But dynasty does bother a lot of people in the country. It does bother voters as well, even though, yes, he's right that there are many political parties that are dynasties as well. I think as an issue, though, it does resonate with a lot of people.
But you know, I get what Tableen is saying, that there's a difference between public service and the private sector. But the fact remains that, you know, children do tend to follow in their parents' or their father's footsteps. And if that's dynasty, so be it. Now, he also made the point that his great-grandfather, his grandmother, his father, they were all in politics. What can he do about it? He's part of the whole system. That's the business.